What's up, math scholars and math haters? This is Mr. W. Today we're going to tackle question 42 in the 6th grade math questions that North Carolina released this past school year. The question tells us that 45% of some number n is 225, and we're trying to find out what 74% of that same number is. So to do a question like this and do it really well when you see it, you'll need to know how to work with percents, and specifically we're going to use number tables to figure this question out and use percents for this. Alright, so I'm going to start every percent talks about a part of something. And so if 45% of a number n is 225, then that tells me that my number right next to of, which in this case is just n, is my whole. It represents 100% of n. And so part of that, the problem first tells me, is 225. So that's my first row where I just talk about the numbers that I'm given. I'm going to make another row where I talk about percents, and I'm going to say that 225 is 45% of something. But now 100% is going to represent the whole in that case. And at this point, I could look for a multiplying or dividing pattern, but I think at this point it would be easier to do some cross multiplying. So as I work out this cross multiplication problem, I'm going to multiply my top left number by my bottom right number and say that 225 times 100 is equal to 45 times my variable, times this number that I don't know yet. I get out my calculator, and I figure out that 225 times 100 is 22,500. So I know that 45 times something equals 22,500. And now in order to get my variable here by itself, if you've seen my other videos where I talk about a problem like this, you probably know where I'm going. I'm going to pull out my fact families, and I'm going to say that if I know that 45 times some number equals 22,500, then 22,500 divided by 45 must give me that unknown number. And so I pull my calculator out again, and I say 22,500 divided by 45 equals 500. So there's my number, 500. Now that I know what this number is, I have to kind of do this whole process over one more time, but in a bit of a different way. So now, for just my numbers, I'm being asked what is 74% of n. So my part number I don't know yet, but I know that the number that represents my whole, that I used to call n, now I'm calling it 500. And now I'm filling in another row with my information about percents, and I say that 74% is my part, and 100% is my whole in this case, because 100% always represents the whole, everything that we're talking about. And now I just have to look for a multiplying or dividing pattern that can go up or left. And the easiest one I see is to go up and say that 100 times 5 is 500. So then 74 times 5, and you can do that on your calculator or in your head or however you want, but you should get 370. So after all that work, we arrived at an answer of 370, and thank goodness it matches answer choice C. So we had to use this number table with percents a couple times, and once where we had to work backwards, but just remember, write a table where one column is your part and another table is your whole if you don't have any other words to go on, because this isn't necessarily a word problem with quantities we can fill in like some of the other questions in this little group of released items.